What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on Tuesday, May 27th. Got an 11-game baseball slate to talk about and joined by the birthday boy. Happy birthday to Mr. Steve Boynton, turning 25 years old today. Steve, how you doing on this Tuesday birthday afternoon?
Yeah, actually, thank you. I actually just had an idea since you were about to say my age. Since it's my birthday, I'll give away. I just saw that the 121 isn't full. Anyone who's a member at RPS who's in the chat, guess my actual age. The first person to guess the actual age will call you out and shoot me a DM in Discord, and we'll get you in the 121 today.
Look at that. Steve Boynton on his own birthday, not asking for gifts, not receiving gifts, giving gifts out. We got some numbers rolling in here in the chat. 37? Do we have a winner?
37 today. Yeah. Jason Gordon, shoot me a DM in Discord. We'll get you hooked up with the 121 ticket.
Listen, pays to be early to the show, right? None of this arriving late, starting late nonsense. There's, not a huge crowd watching us so far, but Jason Gordon gets to ship the 121 ticket. Awesome to see. Boynton, I know you're headed to Wrigley Field tonight to watch yet another cold and maybe not wet, but not ideal. It's May 27th, Boynton. Can we get some warm weather in Chicago, please?
Our pool opened like a week and a half ago. I walked by on Memorial Day yesterday. There's like people trying to soldier it out just for the bit, out there in jeans and like a hoodie. But no, we want to be out there, especially going to Wrigley during the summer. You've been, there's nothing better. So I will be going and playing stacks against the Pace Eaters regardless. But, if it was 80 degrees with winds blowing out, I'd feel a lot better.
Listen, you got to check your mail after the show. You might have got this beautiful Run Pure Sports Saber Sim jersey that has draft sheet on the back. I mean, come on now.
That is awesome.
This is I had to throw it on for the show. For the extra good mojo, we got the birthday good mojo.
Yep.
We'll get the Saber Sim / Run Pure Sports hockey jersey, good mojo, and hopefully pick some winners on the slate. We do have 11 games to talk about, Steve. So without further ado, let's get into it. We start out in Yankee Stadium South, Tampa Bay for the Rays and the Twins. Joe Ryan going for the Twins here, doing, typical Joe Ryan stuff. I think this season, a lot of strikeouts, never walks anybody, reliable, does give up his fair share of home runs. So it's been a little bit of an issue for Ryan. You see that sometimes, Steve, and these pitchers who refuse to give in on the walks, right? They're just not going to put on anybody on base for free. The trade-off, of course, is that you come in, sometimes come in to a 3-1 count and give in and throw a fastball down the middle and live with the result. I think, long-term, that's probably a smart move for most pitchers, and Ryan certainly lives by that ethos, but he does give up his fair share of home runs each and every year. And, of course, this is, I think, the best hitting park on the slate. It's honestly not a great hitting slate overall in terms of park factors and wind and weather and temperature and all that good stuff that we look at. So Ryan is interesting here. I still do think the Rays make sense as one-offs, chasing home runs, which is all you want to do against Joe Ryan, really. And then Taj Bradley going on the other side, who I've been kind of on the banging the drum at least a little bit in RPS chat, that a lot of the stuff metrics, things that measure pitches and pitch values and spin rates and all that good stuff, they don't like Taj Bradley, even though he kind of looks impressive when you watch him pitch. So I don't know what quite to think about that, but I do think he is definitely a pitcher you can stack against, right? Because there's a chance all that stuff maybe kind of turns out to be right. And Bradley, who hasn't been great this season, I think there's a chance he could get worse, quite a bit worse. So long spiel for me there, but your thoughts here, Steve, Twins and Rays.
Yeah, Taj, kind of a guy where I think, especially at this price tag, I think it's one of the classic, play both sides, especially in this park. I was expecting this park to, lean more hitter friendly than it has. I checked when I was doing the playbook today. It's at like a 102 park rating. That kind of surprised me. So it's been more neutral than I thought.
Yeah.
But like you said, on this specific slate where it's pretty chilly everywhere, it is the best weather temperature wise for this game. Starting with Bradley, like on a slate where there isn't much under 8K, I think he's playable just because of the strikeout upside that he has. But I also think that, you can make a good argument for the Twins here. I think they're going to be pretty owned in this spot, at least according to Sabre. They're super cheap. People want to pay up for pitching. I think Jeffers is actually the highest priced guy in their lineup at 4,200. We got Brooks Lee hitting cleanup at 3,100. But I'm seeing pretty big ownership numbers on them. Brooks Lee, the highest, up over 20% on a big slate. So that makes me a bit nervous, just with the Twins being who they are. We saw it even yesterday in this park. They couldn't really get anything going at all besides a random Correa bomb that was hit. So, while I think the Twins are in a decent spot, I actually kind of like taking some shots with Bradley at 7K. It's just in that price range, it's more like you're playing guys and hoping that they survive to give you a score that's good enough, whereas Bradley actually has the strikeout upside to give you a good score. So, kind of torn what to do here. I'll have some Bradley in the pool just because of the price tag. And then I do get the Twins play, but I do like some other spots on this slate a bit more than the Twins.
Yeah. I always like to sort all hitters by flagship ownership percentage over at our friends Sabre sitting here, wrong pointer. And I'm always amused, Steve, because this always happens where it's like the top owned hitters are like Aaron Judge today, Juan Soto, Altuve, you understand, and then Brooks Lee, right? He sneaks his way in there and clean up. It's like some scrub ass Brooks Lee,
the unbeatable Brooks Lee.
So, I mean, I know that it seems like these players go off more often than you think, and they're owned for a reason. But I think you agree with me on this. In general, when you see, especially, I'm not saying he's a big pinch hit risk, but especially the pinch hit risks, when you see them at the top of the ownership, that's when you try to go elsewhere. And then that's when Curtis Mead hits a 450-foot bomb.
That's when Curtis Mead smashes one. Jonah Bride, we have it 15% today. Guys like that,
Big platoon up at the top of all the standings on those days. You do love to see it. This is a large, Terry, but I need a medium. A medium might fit me better. Swimming. Maybe I need the pads to
all that hiking. You're down to a medium with all that hiking going on.
Yeah, my shoulders aren't quite filling out this jersey quite yet. I'll hit the weights and do better next time.
Got to contact Iron Mitch for that.
Yeah. Need some more supplements is what I need. Rays bats, Steve, you doing anything with the Rays power bats? I mean, I think they're okay, but I don't want to stack the Rays at all. But
no, definitely not the righties. Joe Ryan's been one of the best pitchers in baseball right on right. So definitely X out all of the righties here. I could see you, like you said at the start, picking off some left-handed bombs. Josh Lau has been good since coming back. Brandon Lowe's been red hot. So like those two and Aranda, I think, are probably the best bets here. Aranda hit a big bomb on last night's slate that ended up being the winning piece because I think like the highest scoring team yesterday scored like 6 or 7 runs. So it would be the one-off lefty powers. I'm definitely not stacking against Ryan here.
I don't understand how we don't see more, or we have not seen more home runs here than we have. You watch the game and like it's. I mean, you can look at the dimensions too, but it's very clear how close right field is to home plate, and it's like 85 degrees and the wind's blowing out and it's humid, and it seems like there should be like multiple, like 3 or 4
every time I
runs.
play it, none of my guys even hit a ball to right field.
That's what I'm saying. So I know it hasn't played extremely hitter friendly so far, but I still think I almost think it's like so short out there that the hitters are psyching themselves out, like trying to
like those softball fields, right?
Yeah. You lose the skill of the swing and start trying to aim it in one specific spot and you just go to shit. So I don't know, what's going on there, but I still like power bats, especially hitters who can go out to right field, which would be those Rays bats, Josh Lowe, Brandon Lowe, Aranda are the three that I'm looking at most closely. Don't count on a home run from Mr. Chandler Simpson, who doesn't even resemble a baseball player when you watch him.
If he gets on base, he's going though.
He also like celebrates every like infield hit like it's Game 7 of the World Series. Very amusing player that Chandler Simpson, but only for the speed, not the power. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get to Mets and the White Sox next. Pretty good weather here, 65 degrees, some winds blowing out. Still not the greatest place to hit in Citi Field in New York. White Sox going with Jonathan Cannon on the mound, who's been okay at run prevention so far. Not going to be a big strikeout guy. I really don't think he's in play on this slate at 7,700. Would be at or near the very bottom of the list in terms of interest for pitchers for me. On the other side, though, Tyler McGill, I think, is a pretty interesting play. The duration can be a little bit concerning with him at times. And, the game log doesn't look perfect. 4 earned runs, 3 games in a row before a pretty good outing last time out. He has faced some pretty tough competition, though. Look at the game log at Boston, at the New York Yankees, against the Cubs, at St. Louis, at Washington. Those two teams have a lot of pretty good lefties in the lineup. So Philadelphia before that. So yeah, he's pitched well despite a pretty rough schedule, and he looks like a player, Steve, who maybe his best performances are ahead of him, not behind him. I kind of like what I'm seeing with McGill. He seems to be getting stronger, or at least, kind of holding the stuff gains that he showed early on. And I think there's some big games coming for Tyler McGill. So I like him quite a bit at 8,800. Like I said, no interest in Cannon at 7,700. And then I do think you at least got to consider the Mets here against Cannon, and obviously a really bad White Sox bullpen behind him. Steve, what are you doing with Mets and White Sox here?
Yeah, I think for this slate specifically, because, we don't have Coors, you don't have the Sacramento Stadium, I'm going to be attacking the worst of the bullpens in baseball. We will go through those as the slate goes on. The White Sox are near the top of that list, bottom 5, and pretty much all the estimators bullpen-wise. So, yeah, Cannon, I think, has probably had some batted ball luck so far. He doesn't miss too many bats. The Mets have not been great of late, that's for sure. If you played them over the weekend or in the last week, you've been pretty disappointed. But that's also kept their price tags in check coming into this series against the crappy White Sox. So I think you got to have interest in Mets bats here, especially if they can get Cannon out of there early. I think this is a slate that's going to be one attacking bullpens, not specifically the starting pitching. And this is the first spot here. So I like the Mets. Saber really likes the Mets, has them with a total up near 5.5, which is, I believe, third highest on the slate. So like Mets here. I'm with you on McGill. The duration is a concern, like you said, but it's also kind of because he's just striking out so many guys. Like, he's getting deep in counts and putting people away. If he does get an outing where, he's not walking the yard, which, against a low walk team like the White Sox, I think this could be it right here, DC, where we see like a 25 plus from McGill, where he's able to get into that 6th inning. I think that's the biggest thing with him, right? Is he has not recorded an out in the 6th inning in May, just because of the walk rate, because he is going deep in counts to try to what looks like actively try to get those strikeouts. It's kind of like what Yu Darvish would do when he first came over, right? Like he would. It just seems like he's going deep in every count, just trying to put guys away. That doesn't really bother me for DFS. I think that's fine. And I think that, this is as clean of a spot as any. I do give DK credit. They finally started to price up the pitchers against the White Sox, against the Rockies, against the Pirates. We'll talk about all 3 of those pitchers today, all in great spots. Because of the strikeout upside at the price tag, I really like McGill here. I think he probably comes with a bit more risk than a normal pitcher against the White Sox, just because, like, when he gets beaten, it's mostly him beating himself. He'll walk 4 or 5 guys. But this is as good of a spot as any, and I'll be on plenty of McGill here.
Yeah, you just got to throw strikes, right? In Citi Field, it's not like this White Sox team is very likely to hurt you with home runs. I mean, there's like no power in the lineup. He's got a really good fastball. He should be able to, just attack, throw strikes, get ahead, and hopefully have a big game and maybe go a little bit deeper too. But like you said, you want your pitchers chasing strikeouts, no question about it, for DFS purposes. Maybe not for real life purposes going deep into games, but obviously the strikeouts are where the majority of the DFS scoring comes from. So I'm in on McGill. Where do you rank him among the top arms? For me, he's right up there with anybody else.
I think he's main lineup viable here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing about 20% on him. I really like the projection that we have on him. And I don't know, it's just kind of a slate where, we'll talk about some cheap pitchers. We talked about Bradley. No one under McGill really gives me a warm and fuzzy. We'll talk about Horton, who has a good projection, but I don't know. I just feel really good about the spot for a guy that seems to be building on something this season. And he's a guy that I know that we both liked throughout the year.
Yeah, definitely going to have plenty of McGill tonight, and I'll mix in some Mets as well, but they're hard to get excited about at the moment. So it makes sense against the White Sox. Let's get to Cincinnati and Kansas City. This one in Kauffman Stadium for the Royals. And the Reds going to be Daniel Lynch going for the Royals. He's been kind of injured pretty often, coming out of the bullpen for the most part. Get a start here, but only on a couple days rest. So just probably one or two innings for Lynch. And then do we know is there a bulk guy scheduled? I didn't see if there was.
I'm not sure. The last time they did this, they let him just go through the order one time and they pulled him.
Okay. So maybe 3 innings from Lynch, but not more than that. Probably 1 or 2 would be my guess. And then Brady Singer going for the Reds, making his return to Kauffman Stadium. Obviously pitched for the Royals all of his career prior to this year. Singer, I honestly think, Steve, he's the exact same dude he was with the Royals, or pretty damn close. I know there was some hope after the first couple starts that maybe Singer had kind of uncovered something, and I feel like people have been trying to make that happen for Singer for a few years now. And listen, this guy, I mean, he's okay, right? He's not a terrible pitcher to throw out there every 5 days, but he gets crushed by left-handed bats in particular. I guess fortunately for him here, not a lot of dangerous lefties. Really, Pasquantino, the only one in the lineup to worry about. Some lefties at the bottom, but really bad hitters down there just in general. So I still don't think I'm playing Singer, but I don't think I'm going crazy with the Royals here either. The Reds, I don't love attacking bullpen games, but can certainly go with the Reds if you wanted to. Modest weather in Kansas City, 60 degrees, some winds blowing in. Not going to play very hitter-friendly. Frankly, like most of the parks on this slate today. Steve, your thoughts here, Reds and Royals?
Yeah, it's just a side note. Jason, I sent you that Venmo. Go ahead and get in that 121 and take it down. This is, on a big slate, sometimes there are games that you just have to kind of ignore. This is that one for me on this slate. I think the only guys I have, I have neither pitcher in my pool. I've got Pasquantino, and I left this free outfielder that the Royals just called up. John Rave is in the pool just in case, I need a freebie. With the pitching up top that we're gonna want, maybe it'll pull, like a 2-man Royals with Pasquantino, Rave, or something like that. But beyond that, no Singer for me here. Not playing Lynch, and no Reds at their price tags.
Yeah, Mr. Rave, a 27-year-old outfielder. He did have 9 home runs and 17 steals and a 141 WRC plus in AAA. Obviously, does not always translate, but at least some power and speed. A lot of speed, apparently. And looks like he's hitting the ball hard too. 112 max EV, 90 average. Yeah, he's at least in the minor leagues, making good contact and running a lot. So. Got to keep John Rave in there. Swinging from the left side too. Yeah, I'm in on Mr. Rave. Good call there, Steve. Anything else on Cincinnati and Kansas City? I don't think I have.
Nah, this is mostly an avoid game here.
Agreed. Pasquantino, Rave. That's about it for me. Let's get to a game where I think we'll both have some interest in these offenses, at least Red Sox and Brewers. We've got Aaron Savale making his third start of the year, pitched back in March against the Yankees. That didn't go well. Made his return 5 days ago against Pittsburgh. Pretty mediocre in that one, too, through 73 pitches. So should be okay duration-wise. I don't think this is a pitcher you want to use today. Now, for the people that watched the show yesterday, no Chad Patrick is Aaron Savale. And then Richard Dick Fitz going for the Red Sox. Did you see Criswell scheduled earlier? I'm not sure if they changed.
Yeah, I think so. They were going to do a bullpen game, but it was I read that it was Fitz's turn in AAA, so they just called him up to basically continue his rehab at the major league level instead of using a taxed pen.
Yeah, I'm off both these pitchers entirely, but the offenses here look pretty good. And American Family Field in Milwaukee, again, the roof will be closed. It's not a great hitting environment, but it is one of the better ones on this slate. And it's also pretty good for left-handed power out to right center field in particular, which I think is most of the bats that you'd kind of want to play in this game anyway. Red Sox, Brewers, I think two offenses that are maybe two of the best on this slate so far. Steve, what are you doing with Red Sox and Brewers here?
Yeah, this is one where this is the first bet I made today was the over in this game. I just think it sets up well for both offenses to have early success and to get into the bullpens, and especially with like Boston, right? Like they're going to use Fitz here. Like if he gets blown up, I could see them just kind of letting him eat it here. So I actually like that's on both sides. The Brewers haven't been as good over the last month, but I don't really see any reason why the top of this order should continue to struggle, right? So I'm going to continue to buy in on them. Boston's been one of the better teams in baseball against right-handed pitching, fourth in weighted runs created plus, third in ISO over the last month, first in ISO over the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching. You said it with Savale, like he just hasn't had it this season. I don't really expect him to find it against the Red Sox, right? The price tags are cheap throughout because of the injuries that they have right now without Bregman. They've been starting a very cheap lineup. They called up their top prospect, Marcelo Mayer, the other day. Abraham Toro's been swinging the bat real nice. He's 2,700 at first and third. I just kind of like how this stack comes together, specifically the Red Sox side. Like they're basically as cheap or cheaper than the Twins. They're better than the Twins, and they're like a quarter of the ownership as the Twins. So I think that the Red Sox are like the sneakiest stack of this slate going up against Savale, who do you see like maybe he's just at the end of his rope, right? Like he's been injured a lot. He's not a young pitcher anymore. Was never really a dominant arm, even when he was earlier in his career. So I think Boston's an underrated spot here. I really like them. I'll be well over the field on Boston, and I think you could actually play him, as a main stack, honestly.
Savale feels like one of those pitchers where you look him up from a month from now and he had like 4 negative DK outings and, is in the ballpark.
I think this could be one of them here, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. So I like a call on the Red Sox. I think I actually slightly prefer the Brewers side of it against Dick Fitz, but yeah.
I like both.
Yeah, both sides look really good. Red Sox lineup's a little funky. I don't know why they have Narvaez and Campbell hitting 3 and 4, both righties, and then get Abreu. I don't know. Doesn't really make any sense to me. But do you have any specific bats that you are really targeting, trying to get in?
The top 2, obviously, for Boston, and then like with the funky lineup, we get premier batting spots for a catcher and a second baseman, which is pretty unique. So I just kind of like the way everything's set up here for Boston. I think they're going to go way overlooked in what I think is an underrated spot on the slate.
Yeah, been a while since Christian Campbell has done absolutely anything at all, but hitting cleanup today. So there you go.
Come up to 4 is gonna unlock up here.
I guess so. We'll keep it moving. Colorado and Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field. You'll be at this game tonight with, hope, a nice warm jacket on, Steve. Staying warm. I'm sure the beers will help cheer you on for the Cubs and Cade Horton, who right now, according to our good friends over at SaberSim, projects as the highest owned pitcher on the entire slate, which makes a lot of sense going up against the pace-eating Rockies. Horton making is this his fourth start?
Four, yeah.
Through 77 in his first one, then 79, then 92 pitches last time out. So duration-wise, you got to assume he is pretty much good to go here. He has 8K, which is a hefty price tag for such a young pitcher, especially one who, hasn't pitched particularly well so far. But he is a prospect of some note. His stuff does look pretty good. And, of course, most importantly, the matchup against the Rockies just doesn't get any better, especially when you get the good Wrigley pitching weather. So I think Horton, even at high ownership, has got to be in the mix here. On the other side, Marquez not playable. And then the question is, what do you do with the Cubs in this weather? It's a question I'm not fond of answering. I don't like when the best offense is in the worst conditions. It just no fun, Steve. But
at these price tags too, right? Like we got Tucker at 6,500 PCA. He is back up to clean up is 6K now. Seiya's 5,700. Like even the guys who you would just include because they're part of the stack are expensive. Like Dansby's 4,900. Michael Busch, who's a strict platoon bat, like that he's coming out if Colorado ever brings in a left-handed pitcher, is 4,800. Nico Horner, who I believe still has 0 home runs for the season, is 4,400. He's probably not getting his first tonight. It's just really tough to fully stack this Cubs team with the bats that you want. They do have the cheap guys 8 and 9, but in this weather, like the only reason I'll have a couple of Cubs stacks is because I'm going to the game. At these price tags, you're just going to have to play a Taj Bradley, guys like that. You're just going to have to forfeit playing guys like Rodon and Burns and Joe Ryan, McGill, guys that we really like. So I see it. They've been an awesome offense. I will say, because like we've seen them get it done in weather like this. It's usually not with a bunch of bombs. It's when they put 12 guys on base in one inning, right? So I think in weather like this, like you actually do want the full stack because it's going to be like a big rally where they score 8-9 runs in one inning.
Bases they run too.
Yeah, that'll get it done. So I will be playing some Cubs because I'm going to the game. I don't love the spot. And then what I'm doing with Horton is TBD, man. Like it was kind of the same thing yesterday with Tyone. Like it was basically 9K Tyone. It's just kind of sticker shot for me. And then he comes in like 60% owned, just absolutely shoves. So I'm a bit tepid to use him at 8K when McGill's 8,800, just a guy that I trust more. But the projection is good, right? Sabres got him projected the second highest projection on the entire slate for pitching. So I'm uncomfortable with it is what I'll say, and just kind of undecided. I'll probably not play him on my main, but have some of them. I don't know. Where do you stand with him here as like the highest owned pitcher on the slate?
That's the only thing really giving me hesitancy. It's
not like he's had like a tough matchup so far. He's faced the White Sox and the Marlins back-to-back outings here.
Rockies are a different level of bad, though.
That's true.
Especially when it comes to strikeouts, and then you throw in the ideal weather, the best pitching, environment on the whole slate.
I will say his props are good here. Over 5.5 strikeouts is -150. Like the projection does match the props, so at least there's that. Like, and over 17.5 outs on DK is -110. So they're expecting 6 innings, 6 Ks, probably very little damage against him, which is about 20 DK.
I would love to see the game log for every right-handed pitcher this year against the Rockies on the road. I bet it's like 25 plus. It's like 25 to 35, just like all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Horton, I'm playing him. I'll be over the field on Horton. He'll be on at least 2 of my 5 lineups, maybe 3. And projecting for around 30% ownership for Horton. No Rockies bats for me, but I'm with you on the Cubs. I mean, you're gonna have to find some cheap players to fit in, but there's enough hitters today to do it. And even Horton and the Cubs makes some sense too.
Mm-hmm.
I think just as you get the correlation, and then there's some extra correlation with getting the absolute worst pitchers out of the bullpen from the Rockies. If Horton's pitching well and the Cubs are up 8-0 after 4 innings, that's when you can really do some damage and get to the chop of a GPP. So worth mentioning there. We'll keep it moving to the second half of this slate. Toronto and the Texas Rangers are up next. This one in Arlington. 2 righties, Nathan Eovaldi going for the Rangers. It's been awesome this year. Frankly, probably pitching over his head a little bit. I mean, he's been genuinely great, but not, I don't think he's a legitimate Cy Young contender like his numbers would suggest great. And he is priced kind of like that, 10.3K. I don't really think he's in play, honestly, against the Blue Jays, at least not for me on this slate. And then Bowden Francis. I've played too much of this guy this year. He's been
I played him last start. They pull him if anything goes wrong.
He is. I don't know how much you've watched him pitch, but man,
his body language is bad too.
It's bad, and he just looks so hittable, and just like a home run's waiting to happen with how he pitches. It's hard for me to click him. I do think on paper he projects pretty well, point per dollar wise, and if you're stacking the Cubs or something, I guess, but he's a hard click for me right now, Bowden Francis, even at 5,700. I'm not playing Eovaldi at that price tag. I will mix in some Rangers bats, but they're not that inspiring either, to be honest. This Rangers team has been kind of a dud for most of the year. They get Seager back tomorrow. Maybe that'll change things a little bit. I'm not going to have a ton of this game, honestly, overall, Steve. What about you, Blue Jays and Rangers?
Yeah, this is my second game that I'm pretty much avoiding. I'm with you on the price tag on Eovaldi. I think I'd just rather play Rodon at that tag. We'll get to him later. Probably rather play Joe Ryan up there just because of the strikeout upside. Yeah, he's been awesome in real life. He's really been the anchor of this staff. What a great signing. And I was not expecting him to age this well, right? As because he's definitely not a young arm. I think the Rangers bats are at least interesting. Like you said with Francis, it's power, right? When things go wrong for him, it's walks and power. I just don't have that much faith in this lineup. I think this is more of a secondary stacked kind of team for me. They got the cheap outfielder they just called up, Osuna. Higashioka obviously has power, the catcher, but I'm not going to go crazy with this game. Likely just avoiding it altogether. I will say them giving Jake Berger that little refresh in the minors has really helped him. He's been smashing the ball ever since they called him back up, hitting cleanup tonight.
Yeah, a little minor league refreshment. We need something like that over at RPS. You make some bad calls, your cores are bad, like 3 or 4 days in a row. You gotta go down to the minor leagues and earn.
You gotta. Yeah, they put you on the WNBA content for a couple days.
WNBA playbooks as punishment. I gotta stop talking about things that I don't want to come true, because that could be rough for your boy DC. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut up now and move on to the next game. Athletics and the Houston Astros. JP Sears going here for the A's. When I was looking earlier this morning, Steve, I was seeing the Astros as by far the highest owned stack on the slate, and I still think they're going to be up there, but not the 20 to 25% I was looking at earlier, which I'm glad, because I do like the Astros quite a bit here. Sears is he has one clear weakness, right? He's kind of a softer tossing lefty. he's going to give up a lot of home runs to right-handed bats. A lot of these left-handed pitchers are that way. He's bad at that. He's pretty good at everything else, right? He doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't get blown up that often. I bring it all up, Steve, because I think the way to play the Astros is perhaps not the 5-man stack. You're really trying to get home runs here. And are they going to have 5 different players hit home runs? Probably not, right? Like, if you just look at these guys, like
hopefully not, because they're going to be like 30% owned.
Yeah, like Paredes and Walker and even Altuve, like no speed at all.
Right.
And honestly, if it's not a home run, it's probably an out. It's probably a strikeout or a flyout in this park against this pitcher. So I kind of think these guys make for better one-offs. I still do like them quite a bit. Honestly, the whole lineup looks pretty good.
Payne has been real good. Yeah,
they finally get a lefty out there. So I'm sure they're ready to go, facing like their third lefty of the entire season.
They've had this game circled for like 2 weeks. I put in the playbook. It's like Haley's Comet when Houston faces a lefty.
They got to like turn around like whatever the pitching machines are that like emulate the handedness. They got to probably get some WD-40 in there to grease it up to move it, because it's been stuck on right-handed pitchers for the last 2 months. But yeah, I do think the Astros. Is there anyone in there that you wouldn't play? I think all 9 guys are in play for the Astros. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Which is why I do think that they come in as the highest owned team. I think them and the Twins are going to be the 2 highest just because of the pricing. That's kind of why I'm so interested in that Boston-Milwaukee game. I think that it's a comparatively just as good of a spot with the pricing and the pitcher that you're attacking, and it's just going way overlooked. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I kind of like that approach of playing 1, 2, and 3 mans of Houston picking off the bombs and just hope that they don't string together a huge inning. I will say the A's bullpen outside of obviously Mason Miller has been a disaster lately. If you're an RPS member, I put all the bullpen stuff in the top stacks section. Make sure to check that out. Yeah, 7.78 ERA last 30 days for the A's bullpen. I will say a lot of that is probably due to their home park, which is, as we know now, just a complete joke of a baseball stadium. So yeah, I like Houston. I'm a bit tentative at these price tags for a team that has literally done nothing the entire season, though.
Tonight's the night. JPC is going to give it up to the Astros. Hunter Brown facing this A's team. 11K. You're certainly paying for it for Hunter Brown. He's earned this price tag. Been amazing this year outside of his last start against the Rays that was in Tampa. And it wasn't even that bad. I'm mostly giving him a pass, although I will say, Steve, I'm giving him a pass on the last start, but looking at the advanced metrics for Hunter Brown, there's no doubt he's been good and is good. I don't think he is an 11K pitcher. If you look at some of the stuff, the swinging stuff, swinging strike rate stuff, like it's not the same, as he's priced like a Crochet and a Skubal and a Prime DeGrom, and it's like he's just not, in my opinion, not that level of pitcher. So kind of on the fence about Hunter Brown. I do think he's a fine play if you've got the salary to spend. But maybe not the first guy in my lineup at 11K. What are you doing with Hunter Brown against the A's?
Yeah, it's also not a soft matchup for him, too. Like the A's have been swinging it. They have dangerous bats pretty much throughout their lineup. So I'm personally out on 11K Hunter Brown here. He has been awesome, but I'm kind of with you. I think we've already seen the peak of Hunter Brown, and he's going to start to, not be bad, but not be like the second best pitcher in baseball. So I think a minor regression coming his way. Of course, the only game in Tampa where a bunch of bombs were hit were when Hunter Brown was there, and no one played any Rays against him, and they hit like 3 or 4 bombs all out to right field against Hunter Brown. I think that was like an afternoon slate last week. So yeah, just not for me on the slate. Like I like other pitchers better. We'll talk about Rodon coming up soon.
Which pitcher reminds me a little bit of Hunter Brown is Joe Ryan, pitching in Tampa Bay tonight. Just little bit of an aside there, right? Going to give up their fair share of power, but maybe not a lot else. And if you're not playing the 11K pitcher, you like paying for pitching more than I do, then I can't play him either. So that's all I needed. We'll get Hunter Brown out of the pool, simplify it, narrow it down a little bit further. Next up, we go westward to Los Angeles for the Yankees and the Angels. Two lefties here. Carlos Rodon, the second highest priced pitcher on the slate. He's been awesome this year. I really haven't played all that much Carlos Rodon this year.
Not enough.
Yes, not enough, to the detriment of my own bankroll, but chance to make that right tonight against the Angels, who do have a lot of right-handed power, a lot of strikeouts too. This is one where I could see this not going well for Rodon due to home runs, but if he's able to avoid those, it should be a big start for Rodon. So I do think he's a good play. I will definitely mix in the Angels. Not as full stacks, but Neto, Ward, Soler, Ohapi, if he's in there, Adele, all these guys, I think, make for pretty good one-offs. A little bit like the Astros bats, right? Where I think it's going to come via the home run ball if they do get to Rodon. And this could be a spot where Rodon puts up 25 but gives up 2 solo shots. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. It does seem like that kind of matchup. And then Tyler Anderson, a wizard, goes for the Angels. I don't know how his numbers are not worse. They're not even that bad. His numbers seems to do this most years. And then you look under the hood and he's not good at anything and you can't quite figure out why he has an ERA of 3.5, but that's just what he does. I still like the Angels here, but been around long enough, Steve, to know. Usually ends in disappointment against Mr.
Yep.
Anderson. What are you doing with the Yankees versus the Angels here?
Yeah, I'll start with Rodon. He's my favorite of the expensive pitchers here just because of that strikeout upside in this spot. His K-prop over 7.5, minus 125. They're expecting 7-8 strikeouts here. I think that that kind of gives him the leash to give up, the random bomb here and still have a good outing, like you said. Angels, super right-handed heavy, but also, like you said, the strikeout a ton in the split, 5th highest strikeout rate against lefties. And Rodon this year has been dominant against right-handed hitters. Kind of surprised, like 230 WOBA, 31% strikeout rate in the split, 3.12 xFIP. So I'm kind of hoping that we get him lower owned just because people are going to see all the right-handed hitters and assume that Rodon as a lefty is not going to fare well here. So I'm going to be well over on Rodon. Yeah, it's not a clean matchup with the power, but I'm going to lean into this K-prop and the matchup with this a team that is just going to strike out a ton. And when it usually goes wrong for Rodon as far as not pitching deep, it's when he gives up walks. He did it in that Mets start. He's done it a couple times this year. Angels, second lowest walk rate in baseball. So just kind of lines up well for Rodon in a spot where I think that he's going to go a bit under-owned. I see under 30% ownership for him. I think it's a good spot for an upside, like 30-plus DK start for him. And then, Yankees, top 3 team in baseball against lefties. But you just kind of throw your hands up with Anderson. Of course, he got smashed in the Little League Park that he pitched in last time against the A's. Walked 6 with 0 strikeouts. If he walks 6 against the Yankees are going to be on the winner tonight. They did not come through last night, but highest team total on the slate keeps creeping up here. The price tags are just kind of tough for this slate. I think you're going to see a bunch of Judge one-offs, Goldschmidt one-offs, and 2-mans. But the full stack looks to go pretty low owned because of the pricing that we have on them. So kind of undecided on the Yanks. I'm going to play some in my 20 just because it's Tyler Anderson and it just always sims well, right? It's always going to want you to play stacks against Anderson. And this park, on a day where it's pretty cold most places, LA doesn't sound too bad. So pretty good weather there for hitting.
Don't shy away from the lefty on lefty matchups against Anderson either. He's actually last couple of seasons 351 xWOBA allowed to lefties, just 312 to righties. Strikeouts are the same, and more power even allowed lefty versus lefty for Anderson. Pretty rare for a left-handed pitcher to allow more same-handed power. This is over a 230 inning sample size for Anderson. So makes sense, right? He's really, really a soft tosser. He doesn't have that kind of power breaking ball left versus left that can wipe out opposing batters. So no lineup for the Yankees yet, but like guys like Grisham.
Bellinger's been red hot finally.
Yeah, Grisham and Bellinger are the two that I'm in particular thinking of when I talk about that. So I do like the Yankees, definitely among my top stacks, and I'll be ready for some.
Of course, of course. Tyler Anderson gets Bill Miller.
There's extra two strikes for Tyler Anderson. Can't play the Yankees anymore. Everybody jump off. No Yankees tonight. Pittsburgh and the D-backs up next. This one in Chase Field in Arizona. Corbin Burns pitching for the D-backs. He's been awesome these last 5, 6, 7 starts. Coming off a really strong start against the Dodgers. Did give up 3 earned runs, but made it through 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, just 1 walk, 96 pitches. Looks like he's going to be around 90 to 100 most times out, which is totally fine. And gets this Pirates team, who obviously
the other pace beaters.
There's only one pasty. We can't be throwing the term around. The Rockies, they're the only ones eating pace, but I don't know what the Pirates are doing, but it's something else. They're headed the wrong way on the roundabout or something. I don't know what the Pirates are doing. Good matchup for Burns. Obviously got to watch out for O'Neal Cruz, but that's really about it. He should pitch well. Just kind of depends on where you have him stacked up against the likes of Rodon and Hunter Brown. But definitely interest in Burns for me. I do like Cruz too, if you're not playing Burns. And then Mike Burrows pitching for the Pirates, going to make his second start. Did play him in that first one against Milwaukee. I think it was a shorter slate. He was okay, not great. Definitely would not play him here against the D-backs, though. This looks like a rough spot, and I don't know if you put any extra stock into like a pitcher making his second start. He's on the road facing this really good offense that makes a lot of contact. It just seems like even beyond the projection for the D-backs, which is good, that maybe there's a higher chance of a blow-up just because, Burrows just hasn't been here. And it seems like who knows how he's going to react to a horrible first inning if it goes that way, something like that. So I really do like the D-backs here for upside and more floor than like the Astros, right? Like the Astros, if they don't hit home runs, they're probably really going to suck. But like the D-backs, I feel like they're going to be at worst okay with upside for a lot more. So I like the Diamondbacks quite a bit here. What about you, Steve? What are you doing with D-backs and Pirates?
Yeah, it's a good point with Burrows. I actually played him on that slate too because it was a small slate. I actually played him, and then I was walking over to play golf, and I brought my iPad and I opened it up, and it's 3-0 through 3 batters. It was like walk, single, Yelich 3-run bomb. Kind of tying into what you were saying. Like if it starts out bad again for him, he'd be like, "Oh shit, here we go again." And then, like we're talking about earlier, Pirates bullpen has been just a disaster of late. Really want to be attacking these bad pens on slates where we don't have the Coors and the Sacramento spots. So, 6.07 ERA last 30 days for the Pirates, and they're not playing half of their games in Sacramento like the A's bullpen is. So, I think the Snakes are by far the best spot on the slate. I'm surprised that the ownership isn't following. I really like these ownership numbers that we're seeing here for the Snakes. I'm probably going to have them on my main team. We don't have Ketel Marte, which sucks, but it also makes this 5-man much more playable with the top arms. So I think they do damage here. And again, I think runs against the bullpen are going to win this slate. And I just want to attack all the bad bullpens. Forgot to mention that with the Angels, they're also a bottom 5 bullpen in baseball. So, I think the Snakes have an argument for top stacks. I think we take the ownership discount they're not that much more expensive than a team like Houston, outside of having the Corbin Carroll in there. But yeah, we got Jordan Lawler starting, who hasn't gotten it done yet for us, but it's going to come. He's a top prospect for a reason. Power speed combo at 2K, so that kind of helps balance out the Corbin Carroll, get the little wrap around there. We got Perdomo hitting second. He's like one of the most under the radar awesome seasons.
I've been waiting for his MVP to drop, but it still hasn't. They won't put it out. He's like fourth in the whole league and more.
I know, he's been incredible. Just hitting ninth for most of the season. He's up hitting second today. I gave him a huge boost. I'm seeing under 10% for 2-hole Perdomo against this guy making his second career start. I think this is just an awesome spot. Lourdes Gurriel, they just will not raise his price. He's at 3,500 in the 3-hole here. You pick one of the first baseman or Gino Suarez. You play the free second baseman, and then you rock and roll. So I'm playing the Snakes here. I love the spot. I think they put up a really big number against the Pirates today.
I'm with you. And, according to our friends over at Ballpark Pal, best or second best hitting conditions of the night in Chase Field. Roof will be closed, but it's obviously a relative thing. And in comparison to everywhere else, going to be a good place to hit here for the D-backs and maybe on my main team as well, too. Anyone in that lineup that you're shying away from? For me, it would be Pavin Smith and Thomas, right? The two pitchers.
Yeah, those two. We mentioned Lawler. He does have. They've actually pulled him in certain spots, like when they're rallying, and he comes up. I could see them pull him for Marte. But
if you're up for a big spot and you got Marte on the bench,
yeah. I mean that's going to happen to young hitters regardless. Yeah. So yeah, Smith and Thomas, my two least favorites here. But everyone else I actually love. We saw Gino Suarez hit his 15th home run last night. The guy's just a machine.
Yeah, your face is frozen, but I can hear you just fine. So we're just gonna keep it moving. There you go. Flash back in. You're good to go. That's Snakes and Pirates. Let's get to the Padres and the Fish, the Marlins, going into San Diego. Max Meyer going for Miami. Been a hero at times for RPS. I kind of jumped off the train after that Cincinnati start where he got 14 strikeouts. It's been pretty mediocre since then, but he has had 2 decent starts in a row, has Max Meyer. I think he's kind of settled into what I would expect from him, 15 to 20 fantasy points most times out, which isn't bad at all. But I'm not really interested in Meyer here going into San Diego. Padres will go with Steven Kolek, making his 5th start of the year. It's actually been pretty good, including a complete game shutout in Coors Field against the Paste Eaters, of course. I don't know.
He put up 40 DK, and that was wild.
39.1 for Mr. Kolek. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
All right, I'm more interested in the Cubs pitcher now.
Exactly. That is the correct takeaway from that piece of information. Padres, I think, are maybe interesting as a off-the-radar stack. Max Meyer has given up quite a bit of hard contact throughout his brief big league career so far. And then I might be the only one on this one, but I kind of like the Marlins here against Kolek, who I actually don't think is all that great. And maybe more importantly, you mentioned the bullpen stuff. Not that the Padres have a bad bullpen, but the good arms in their bullpen are, I think, probably unavailable for the most part. Robert Suarez, their closer, has pitched 4 out of the last 5 days. Jason Adam, 4 out of the last 5. Estrada threw 27 pitches 2 days ago. So I think they're going to have to go to, the Yuki Matsui and David Morgans of the world. They called up another guy who's just has 7 ERA in the minor league. So I think this is kind of a sneaky good spot for the Marlins. Obviously not the best offense in the world, but nobody's going to play them. They do have power. Jesus Sanchez, Agustin Ramirez, Kyle Stowers, I like a ton. Even Otto Lopez has been swinging it pretty good recently. So I guess maybe a sneaky stack for me with the Marlins here. What about you, Steve? What are you doing? Marlins and Padres.
Yeah, Marlins last 14, top 10 in both weighted run traded plus and ISO in the split against righties. I specifically like them, like you said, more against the right-handed pitchers, right? Like with the lefties that they have. Man, that O's trade giving up Stowers looking really bad right now. But yeah,
he's the one I really want is Stowers.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I've got the Miami left-handed power bats, and that's all I have from this game. This is mainly a cross-off. I'm not playing Kolek at his price. I'm not buying into him, and then not playing Meyer against the Padres. So in this park, I'm going to be playing some Miami bats, and that's about it.
Yeah, a little bit higher on Miami, definitely including Ramirez and Otto Lopez, maybe Wagaman and Norby. Gonna lose some money on the fish tonight, that's for sure, Steve. Gonna be great. It'll be nice and live. Two good pitchers, some one-offs that went off, and then the fish will just do nothing. It'll be great. Can't wait. Nationals and Mariners up next. We go to Safeco, or not Safeco anymore, T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Mitchell Parker throwing from the left side, going for the Nationals here. He's pretty mediocre. I do think right-handed power is how you want to attack him, same as a lot of mediocre lefties, which, does fit pretty well against the Mariners. They got plenty of right-handed power. Julio, Raleigh, Rosarena, Garver, Dylan Moore would be the five that I would look most closely at. Maybe Polanco if he's in there. I'm not sure. Did he get hurt? Not seeing him in the projected lineup. And then Logan Evans going for the Mariners here. And he's been okay. I know he's got a 5 ERA, but has made it through 6 innings in each of the last 2 starts. They do let him go, as long as he can go pretty much. I mean, hasn't gone fewer than 5 innings in any of his 5 big league starts this year. I think that's his 5 career starts. First 3 starts made it 5, and then last 2 made it 6 innings, and each of those did strike out 7 White Sox. I think he's okay. Logan Evans, again, not a pitcher that I'm, shoving all in on and staking planting my flag forever on Logan Evans, but I do think he is an okay play here in this park against the Nationals. Obviously at the price point, and Seattle. Last couple of years, if you just played all the Seattle pitchers every time they pitched in Seattle, you've probably done okay, especially when they've been at a cheap price point. So, yeah, I think Evans is a pretty good way to go in this slate. No interest in Parker for me. And then, I do kind of like these Mariners bats a little bit, despite the park against Mitchell Parker. Really bad bullpen for the Nationals behind him as well. Steve, your thoughts here, Nationals and Mariners?
Yeah, I'm going to play some of these cheap pitchers just because they're going to give me some of the Cub stacks, some of the high-end Yankee bats.
Sure.
And it's basically the park, right? The best park in baseball now for pitching, now that we don't have Oakland. I feel like they haven't been there that much, at least lately, DC. I feel like Seattle hasn't played that many home games. I think that both of these arms are at least reasonable enough to get you into the teens, which is what you want at these price tags. So if you were playing bats, it would definitely be the Seattle bats against Parker. I think he's the weaker of the 2 pitchers. I think Seattle definitely the stronger of the 2 lineups. The Nats, man, I have a bunch of friends who are Nats fans back in DC. Just kind of tough to see the forest through the trees with their rebuild. They've got the pieces that they acquired in these trades. They're just not becoming stars, right? Almost their entire lineup was made from the Soto trade and a couple others. I mean, Abrams, Wood, Hassel, Ruiz. I mean, all these guys came over in these trades. It's just Wood has been awesome. Abrams has been really good. Ruiz has not hit as much as they.
I don't know if did they send Hassel back down? I think they might have.
We actually just got the lineup. He's hitting 7th, and Dalen Lyle is hitting 9th for 2K. So, the back half of this lineup is super young, super inexperienced. which is a boost for the cheap Seattle arm, which I will have some of.
Yeah. I do think you could play Abrams and Wood if you wanted to. They both got plenty of power for that park. And then I do think Hassel, I've liked what I've seen from him. It's only been 3 games, but he does look like a good player. Obviously hasn't produced much yet, but extremely small sample size there. So we'll give him a pass. I do think he's an interesting play at 2,500 if you're not on Logan Evans. We'll skip the dong draft today, Steve. I know you got to get out of here, get over to Wrigley Field, and I've got to get to my lineups. But let's quickly go over some of the other stuff. Pitching-wise, who do you think is going to be your preferred combination on the slate?
I think I'm going to go with some combination of the 3 pitchers in the best matchups here, like Burns. I think, like you said, has found something over the last couple of starts. He's talked about making some changes to that cutter, which is obviously the pitch that had him sign that monster deal. The velocity's up there, up against this Pirates team that I just want to continue to stack against. I think they're on their way to just being as bad or close to as bad as the Rockies. It's hard to say that any team's going to be that bad. So I really like Burns here. I think when we talk about the game, I was talking mostly about the Snakes bats, but really like Burns. I really like McGill here. So that's my target combo. But I've been talked into more Cade Horton here. And up top, my favorite is Rodon.
Yeah, we're very similar as often we are on pitching. I'll go McGill and Horton. If the Pace Eaters have their first good game on the road of the entire year and it's to my detriment, then so be it.
So be it. Yeah. I did want to give just a quick update because we had a good dong draft last Tuesday, or it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. You got 2 bombs from Kurtz, who I think is now hurt. So you got 3 points there.
Not a hero. Thank you, Nick Kurtz.
So that was a 4-point dong draft day for you. Ooh. And I got 1 point from Larry Butler. So the updated standings is DC 5, Steve 4 after the 4-point day.
We're doing all right. We, they're not all going to hit, but we're picking some dongs. You do love to see it. Yep. We'll get back to it next time out. Steve, give us your favorite stack of the night. If you had to narrow it down to one, who you're rolling with tonight?
I think it's going to be the Snakes here, man. I really want to target this young pitcher. When I opened this show and opened the ownership, I thought we'd see all these guys 20 plus. And we're just not, because people are going to play the Twins and they're going to play Houston. So it's Arizona for me. And then, like I said earlier in the show, my sneaky spot is that Boston-Milwaukee game. I really like both sides there for bats. Yeah.
I do like the Twins and the Astros and the Snakes, but for the purpose of this show, I'm going with the Marlins. The Marlins get them do a hurting on Stephen Kolek and that Padres bullpen. Or at least I'm hoping so. That'll do it for this show. I'll be back here with stats, same time, same place tomorrow. Appreciate everybody watching. As always, happy birthday to Steve Boyden. Enjoy the game at Wrigley Field. And until tomorrow, he's Boyden. I'm DC. We're out of here.